the Japa syndrome. Many of us want to leave countries like Nigeria and come over to countries like the UK because we believe that the system is better and the opportunities are more. And to a large extent, you're very correct. There are amazing opportunities here and the system works. The system is protected and it works. But my guest today on Lady Shayo Speaks is going to look at the upsides and the downsides of relocating. The question is the grass really greener on the other side? Let's find out. Hi, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Lady Shayo Speaks. And I have an amazing young woman, a blogger, a medical doctor on the show today, and she's going to answer the question, the Japa syndrome, is the grass really greener on the other side? Oyinkan, welcome to today's show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yes, darling. Okay, so I'm going to quickly read your profile. You know, this young lady, can you imagine she's a medical doctor, and she's a medical doctor, and I'd like to congratulate you. It's an amazing feat. I always appreciate young people that are doing great things. So Oyinkan is a 28-year-old medical doctor and social media creator and influencer, and you really need to go to her YouTube channel, Dr. Honey. I'm going to put the links below this video. She's also a makeup artist, by the way. And she's simply amazing, and she's got lots of information and tips. Those of us that are thinking of relocating to the UK, she has a lot of videos on there that will help you, give you insight to what it's like living here in the UK, so you are better informed before you make that decision. So her YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok, she's very, very active. And of course, like I said, she recently moved over, and she's been sharing her story on what the whole process was like. She's been resident here for about 1 year, and she currently works with the NHS in the ever busy accident and emergency. So, Oyinkan, we've read your profile. Can you just tell us one or two things about yourself that are not in the profile?
Okay, so one or two things. First thing is I recently became a new mom, so I guess that wasn't in the profile. And now that I've mentioned it, so I have a 5-month. She's going to be 6 months old this month. So I have a 6-month-old baby.
Okay.
And another thing that was not in the profile is that I like cooking and I like to eat as well. That's what I think I like to do for fun: cook and eat.
Okay, so cooking, eating, and of course she is a young mom, and she's also a funky mom as well. So those of us that are starting that journey, you want ideas, you want insight into what the whole process is like, you need to go to her YouTube channel. She covered the whole pregnancy, what it was like, motherhood, the challenges that she's facing, and how she's been coping. And I'm telling you that there are a lot of helpful tips. Only that, we are like, been there, done that. Been there, done that. But for those of us that are, on that journey, she has a lot of information that could really, really be helpful. So now, why did you decide to become a medical doctor of all things? Medical doctor, that's, really a high thing to do. It's not an easy thing. It's not an easy feat to achieve. So why medicine?
So when I was younger, I was a smart child, like book smart. I was an A student when I was younger, and it just was the thing that A students used to do. It wasn't like I particularly enjoyed the thought of being a doctor per se. It was just that as a smart child, that is what you're most probably going to do in the Nigerian setting. So that was what it was. It's not anything deep, because I know that most times people will say, oh, I have a passion, or it was a calling. It wasn't really anything deep for me like that. Just more so that my mom and my dad were like, you should be a doctor. So it was drummed into my subconscious to the point that I then thought that it was my own thoughts. But now that I'm older, I can now realize that it wasn't actually my own thoughts. It was my parental influence that was heavy, to the point that my subconscious became, okay, I want to become a doctor.
Okay, so how has the journey been in medicine? Because you are a doctor now. Do you enjoy it, or would you rather do something else like makeup?
So medicine is very stressful. I'm not even going to lie. It is quite stressful. And right now I think the ROI is not really worth the input right now. But then I think potentially in the future, especially if you move away to climes like the United States or Australia, there's a better ROI. But in places like Nigeria and even the UK, the ROI isn't that great. So it's an okay profession. It's just I just want to make this known to people out there that if you think that being a doctor is going to be what is going to make you very rich, you're most probably mistaken. That's not the right thing to think. Do you understand what I mean?
Okay.
I enjoy being a doctor, but I also enjoy other things, which is why I also do other things so that I can balance everything out. And my whole life isn't just going to the hospital, because going to the hospital day in and day out can be quite depressing, to be honest.
Yeah, I can imagine, especially accident and emergency. Okay,
Exactly.
so let's go move on to other things. So why did you come over to the UK? Number one,
For
what was the
better
motivation?
opportunity, that's just it. For better opportunity. In
Better
Nigeria was
opportunities.
frustrating me. Nigeria was after my life. So I
So
decided to
you
find,
took the first available flights out and came over.
yeah.
Okay, so like, can you just give us an insight into your journey? How did it all happen? We know that you're a medical doctor. So was it through work that you were able to come? Did you get employed from Nigeria, or how did you go about it?
Okay, so again, being a doctor is an evergreen profession, because in as much as I say that the ROI is not really a lot, it is a profession that no matter where you are in this life, you will always be in demand. And that is what really helped me, to the point that all I needed to do was just write a few exams, two exams, actually three exams, an English language exams and two medical exams, and then get registered with the GMC here in England, and subsequently applied for jobs. So I applied for about 150 jobs, I would say, and I got three offers. So from Nigeria, but in the UK, if you have to apply for jobs again, it's much easier because now you have UK experience.
Yeah.
But from Nigeria, I had to apply for quite a bit of jobs, about 150, and I got three. I got invited to three interviews, and then I subsequently chose this one that I currently work here.
Okay, fantastic.
So yeah.
So we can see that there was a process. You had to apply for like 150 jobs before you actually got the ones that you felt were okay. Fine, that's good. Okay, so now you're a Nigerian citizen. Okay, you got the job. So obviously you got your papers through the people that employed you. They gave you a visa or right to stay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it was pretty straightforward for you.
It's a very straightforward process, to be honest. Once you've gotten the job, everything is a really smooth sail, provided you have all your documentation intact.
Okay.
If you don't forge any documents, it's really an ABC, 1+1 = 2 process. It's very straightforward.
Yeah. So the process, we can trust the process. So you
Yeah.
advise that people should just be very open and upfront, no hanky
Yeah.
panky anywhere. Just do what you're supposed to do, and you'll be fine. Okay.
Yeah.
So what was your first impression when you landed here in the UK, working, living? What are the first things that kind of came out at you, apart from
Um,
the weather, anyway?
I've been to the UK a little while ago on vacation. So the first thing that jumped out was that living in a country is very different from visiting. That's one.
Exactly.
So
When you visit, you're like, oh, it's not a big deal. But living, it's a completely different conversation.
exactly. So that was the first thing that stood out to me. The weather is quite depressing, to be honest. The sun
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
shine enough, and that was very different for me, coming from Nigeria that is always hot too. And then I came in the winter, so again I wasn't really ready for that amount of cold and the amount of darkness and everything that was happening at that time. But other than that, I think what you really need is time. I actually have a video going up on my channel today talking about my experiences living in the UK so far, my YouTube channel. So I go into detail a lot. That video is almost an hour long. Me and my husband really spoke at length
Wow.
about all the experiences that we've had so far with living here. But all in all, I think the most important thing is you need time, because it's a new environment. You're an adult, so there might be a bit of friction with trying to adjust. But as long as you're open-minded, it will definitely, you will grind to the point that you eventually find a balance.
Okay, so how would you say you found the culture over here? I have observed that a lot of people find the culture a little bit different. So
So
what are
the
your
thing
thoughts about the culture?
my God, I mean, I have videos on my channel talking about my culture shocks because there are indeed culture shocks. Number one, people smoke very heavily in this country. That's one thing. And then the length of the uniforms, they're very short, very skimpy. Lots of cultural shocks, to be honest. But just keep your mind very open and be like a sponge to soak things up. That way you have less resistance and you are more fluid with maneuvering things. I think that's it.
Okay. All right. So how expensive would you say London is compared to Nigeria?
Very, 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 very expensive. This country is quite expensive. I feel like it's easier to make 1,000 naira than it is to make one
Please
pound.
say it again because people always think that pounds are lying on the streets of London.
Yeah, I think it's much easier to make 1,000 naira than it is to make £1. There's a lot of working, and I mean that quite literally, for every money that you make in this country, as opposed to Nigeria. There's a lot of hand-me-downs and handouts in Nigeria in comparison. Also, the fact that I feel like the hours here in terms of work are much longer compared to in Nigeria. So I mean, it makes, when you want to spend money, it scratches your body a bit more than how it will scratch your body in Nigeria. So I think
Okay.
it's more
When you say the
expensive.
hours are longer, is an hour is an hour.
Okay, so what I mean is, in Nigeria, if I work 8 hours, there are lots of empty hours
You have time
in
to fling around and fool around and gist.
exactly.
Nobody's
I have
monitoring every second of your.
yeah,
So in
there are lots
Nigeria,
of
you're
empty
doing 8 hours,
hours.
but you use 15 minutes on the phone with your friend. You go stroll to
Exactly.
BC's table and you gist for 30 minutes and then get back to work.
Exactly.
And then you
You
still have
already
time to go onto
summarized
Facebook,
everything.
Instagram, and do some other things there. Take a few
Yeah.
selfies in between and do all of that. But here, it's like once you start work, you are
Once
like you have to
you
work.
are at work,
There is no
that's
breathing
different.
space for
But
any of
it
that.
really takes a toll on your body as well compared to back in Nigeria. Even though you're working 8 hours in Nigeria, you might actively only be working for 4 hours. The rest of the 4 hours are just filler hours. You understand what I mean? But here, if you're working for 12 hours, you're only getting your 1 hour break,
One
and
hour
the rest
break.
of the 12 hours is actually you working.
Serious, focused work.
Yeah.
No lapsing in between, no break.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, because and that's why this country is very productive because you just
Mhm.
have to, if they say 8 hours, trust me, you're going to do that 8 hours and you just get your 1 hour break. And then when
Yeah.
you're off. But when you're working, you're working.
Yeah.
Unlike Nigeria, where we get away with a lot of things, people use office facilities to do all sorts of things. They bring a
Exactly.
Bible study lesson and make
Exactly.
photocopies, make
Exactly.
make photocopies for everybody in the church with company facilities and things like that. Yeah, we get away with a lot of things like that back home, but you can't do that here. So it's a very serious place to be. Now, almost everyone. Okay, so everybody is looking for a way to travel out. Everybody wants to come over, and I'm sure your friends must have reached out to you to say, "Oyinkan, how can we come over? What can we do now?" What would really be your advice to people that want to make that decision? Would you say, "Yeah, come over," or would you say, "Yeah, before you come, what this and this and this are the things that you need to consider"?
Okay, so my own advice is this. You have to weigh your quality of life back home and what your potential quality of life can be here. Um, if, for example, you're a bank manager in Nigeria already, earning maybe 700, 800,000 or 1 million, I'm not sure how much they earn, but you already have a certain quality of life that you're living. You have house help, you probably have a cook, you have a quality of life. Now, if you come to the UK via the student visa route, for example, that quality of life is going to drop significantly.
Yeah.
And then you have to look after your children yourself. You have to cook your food yourself. You have to drive yourself. You don't have a driver. You understand what I mean?
Or you mind
Um,
the gap.
or exactly, or you mind the gap between the train and the platform.
You
um,
mind the
so
gap.
those are the things that you have to look at holistically. Now, if that drop in quality of life is only temporary, maybe just 1 or 2 years, then after which you have a good chance of getting a good job, then maybe it's okay. But many people then struggle with getting a post-study job that is a good job, and then they have to go back home. So if you're only coming here because, oh, I want to live in the UK, I don't think it's worth it. I think that if your quality of life is better home in Nigeria, then just stay there, or maybe, I don't know, go to Canada or something. But if you think your quality of life will be improved, then you can come to the
Okay,
UK.
so
That's
people
just
should
it.
focus on the quality of life, because coming over here is a completely different conversation entirely. Yeah.
Exactly.
And like you said, a lot of things, like, I was telling my cousin, because back home, I have a lot of cousins around me. I have house helps. I've got a driver. I had a PA. So
Exactly.
cooking, I would just sit down and be like, okay, I want this, and somebody's in the kitchen doing it for me, waiting
Exactly.
on me hand and foot. But here,
Oh, your
you're on your own. You have to do everything by yourself. You have to go to market. You have to do everything by yourself. But yeah, so people need to realize that. And I think also maybe people should consider their age. If you're the younger people, I think it's better, easier.
I
The older
think
you
that if
are,
you're less than maybe 40, if you're less than
yeah.
40, then it's a good thing to do. But once you're like over 40, I really think that's when you need to have an honest conversation with yourself. What are you trying to achieve by moving? Are you just following the bandwagon, or you actually have a goal that you're trying to achieve?
You came in as a medical doctor. So you didn't school here. How
Mm,
easy would you say it is for people who did not come in with a job? For example, now you came in, you got a job from Nigeria, and I know a lot of people do get jobs from Nigeria. There
mm,
apparently there seems to be a serious mass recruitment
yeah.
of people from Nigeria, but there are some people that actually come in who were not recruited from Nigeria. What would be your advice to them that maybe come in to work, come in to look for jobs, but they were not recruited from Nigeria?
Oh, I think that if you're not tied to a company, that's all the better for you, to be honest. Because if you're recruited from Nigeria, then it means that you are tied to that company.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, and your work permit is literally dependent on that company. So if you're not tied, and you're like a citizen, for example, and you just come and you can work, the world is literally your oyster. Because on a work visa, you have limitations to the amount of hours you can work. There are a lot of limitations. So for me now, for example, I can't work more than 20 extra hours a week, and I cannot take a second job outside the health space. But
Okay.
for you, if you are not tied to a company, or if you're not on a work visa, you can work as many hours as you think you
You
want to
can
work.
fag guru anyhow you like.
Exactly. And then you can also so you can be working in tech, and you can be working in the
Mm.
healthcare space. No one is going to disturb
There
you.
are less restrictions.
Yeah, so the world is your oyster, really, and I think you should just maximize that as much as possible. And that's the goal. For a work visa now, after 5 years, you can get your indefinite leave to remain, and then you become like free, quote and unquote. So that's what we're looking forward to, being free.
Okay. Okay. Now you're a mom. Let's talk about motherhood in the UK. How
Yeah.
easy or how difficult did you find it?
It wasn't easy because, first of all, I was pregnant when I came in, so there wasn't a lot of people that I knew around me, so it was a bit isolating, to be honest. And I found the way they did antenatal care here quite odd, because it's not a community like antenatal care. It's just you and the midwife, so you don't get to meet other pregnant women to the point that you can have
Oh,
conversations with
seriously?
them.
In
Yeah.
Nigeria, it's like they even have fellowship. When you get to antenatal,
Exactly.
there's
So
singing and
antenatal care was
dancing, there's
something to
fellowship.
look
Your
forward to
pastor
in
is there
Nigeria.
for counseling. I
But
remember
yeah,
the
it's
school I
just
went to, there was a pastor
working
that
as
was
a
there for
midwife, you
counseling
don't
and all of
even meet
that.
anybody. So I didn't have any pregnant friends. I didn't have anybody to talk to with, like, in terms of things I was going through with the pregnancy. I thought it was quite odd. But it, and right now I'm going to say that I've been blessed because my mom came around to help. Now my mother-in-law is around to help.
Oh, lucky
And
you.
yes, exactly. So I'm not really stressed in terms of that. I'm able to go back to work full time, which is not something that a lot of people are not able to do. The most important thing is to have support as much as possible. I think that really helps lessen the burden of motherhood
Yeah,
because
because
it's
I
a
think
whole.
even I experienced that too. Fortunately for me, I had one of my my cousin, my big auntie was around, so
Mm,
because honestly, you're, like you said, it's isolating. You're just alone in the house with the
exactly.
baby,
Yeah,
literally no one to talk to. And honestly, sometimes when
exactly.
you watch the TV and you're seeing come and help the refugees in Ethiopia, and come and help the the children from Great Omandi Children's Hospital, it can be depressing.
It's so depressing.
So, and there's literally, your neighbors are not, here it's like you don't even know
I
who is in the
don't even know who my neighbor is.
who the neighbor is. You're just alone in the house. So I
Yeah,
think back home there's a lot more support. There are family, friends, church members,
exactly.
to provide all of that support. Here your church members are probably scattered in different locations,
Exactly.
busy at work. They don't even have the time to come and help you out and all of that. In Nigeria, you can actually be in the office and then dash out, that disappear
Exactly.
for 2 hours and come back. But here you can't do that. So yeah, it can be quite isolating if you don't have that
Yeah.
support system around them. So yes, the system works, and I've seen that the system, they protect the integrity of the system quite
Yes.
okay. They do everything to protect the integrity of the system. It can be slow, but you can trust the process.
The system here is, thank you for mentioning slow, because it is indeed slow, painfully so sometimes. I find that you can't sharply do anything
You
in this
can't, no,
country.
you cannot be in this country and be in a hurry. It's not possible.
No,
You
it's not
cannot,
possible.
you can't drive in a hurry. You cannot, I mean, you just have to take your turn.
Everything takes
Everything
its
is laid out.
time.
You cannot be in a hurry in this country. It's not possible. You just have to
Yeah,
be patient and wait for them to do their thing the way they're going to do it. That's just it.
yeah,
The system
yeah.
works, but it can be painfully slow, but it will
Slow.
get to your turn
Yeah,
eventually. So like you
yeah.
said, you cannot do anything sharp. You cannot say, look, I need this thing in for where, if they said it's
Not
6 weeks, you're going to wait 6 weeks.
sometimes, like my, I was trying to book my driving test. It's 6 months away. 6 months, and in my mind, I'm like, blood of Jesus, a whole 6 months. Meanwhile, if I was in Nigeria tomorrow, I could have got. I could have.
Exactly. Yeah. So the system is slow, but what you could do is maybe ask if there's anybody that drops off and you can take the person's
Yes,
slots.
exactly.
That's the best that can happen.
That's the best they can do for you.
That's the best they can do for you. So yeah, the system works, but it's painfully slow. So you cannot be in a hurry to do anything in this country. You just have to, you just have to wait and be that. And I think that is part of the reason why people here are patient, because they
Yeah,
have learned that you can't jump anything. You just have to wait. So they are
yeah,
naturally patient. We are the ones that are so impatient. We are not
yeah.
patient at all. But here,
That's true.
yeah, here they have learned that you have to wait for the system to work. So they're used to it, so they are very patient. They're very, very patient in everything. So how are you coping with daycare? I guess you drop your baby off at daycare or something when you go
No,
to
so
work,
like I mentioned,
or
my
since grandma is
mother-in-law is
around.
around right now, so I
Okay.
don't have to deal with that so far. But I've already scouted for daycare around the area, because she's going to be leaving very soon. And
Okay.
when it gets to that time, then I'll handle it. But for now, I haven't had to handle it.
For now, you're just enjoying her, having her
Yeah.
around. Lucky for you. Okay, so all in all, what would be the summary? Would you advise that people should seek the opportunity to travel out, or
Yes, 100%, definitely. If you feel like, again, back to the quality of life, if you feel like your quality of life where you're going to be is going to be at least what close to what it was before,
better?
or better, then that's good. But if there's going to be a massive drop, that's when you start seeing a lot of complaints. Oh, UK is hard. UK is hard. Of course, it's going to be hard because you didn't do your research, which is what motivated me to start making those type of videos on my channel, to help people make an informed decision. Know exactly what you're going to be entering and enter with your two eyes wide open. Don't come and play the SIM card later, because a lot of people then say, oh, don't come to UK. UK is hard. UK is hard for you because you did not do your
Do your
research.
research. Yeah. So you would say, do your research, find out as much information as possible, be
Yes.
mentally and psychologically prepared for
Prepared.
setbacks, Know that
Exactly.
nothing is going to, it's not going to happen, pam, pam. You're not going to land today and start driving a big car and buy a big house tomorrow. No, you're going to have
Exactly.
to follow the process, and the process can be slow,
The
but
process
you,
can take time. So just
yeah, the
know that at
process
the back
can
of your
take
mind,
time.
and once you've made peace with that, then you should be fine. And I think
Yeah.
it's better for it. Yeah.
The process can take time, so but you need to absorb that. And like you said, like one of my friends said, she said, whatever, when you come here, because the process is slow and things don't move as fast as you would like them, you need to look for ways to be happy in your current situation.
Exactly.
Make yourself as comfortable as possible in your current situation. Don't feel that, oh, until I get this job or I get this house or I move to this before I'm happy. You need to learn to be happy in your current situation, because that process can take a lot longer than you envisaged. Okay, so
Yeah.
Oyinkan, thank you so much. Before we go, I just like to talk a little bit about your makeup skills. I know
Yes.
you do makeup, so
Yeah.
what have you done recently? I know you're a medical doctor and all of that, but so what have you done recently in that area?
So I have done makeup for family and friends so far, just because I'm not clear on the restrictions so far. So
Okay,
I want to be very sure before I start doing it like on a
commercially, okay. So it's
but for
basically
now
just
it's
for
for
family
family
and
and
friends.
yeah.
Yeah, so no money involved for now.
No, 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 no. I don't want to put myself in any unpalatable.
Exactly. Yeah, you don't want to put yourself in anything that would jeopardize your stay here and everything,
Yeah,
which is the wise thing to do. That's the wise thing to do. So you just practice and continue practicing on your family and friends, maybe a family
exactly.
wedding, family function. So and then you just do it for people, maybe close friends, a friend
Exactly.
is having a birthday party, you want to help out. That's
Yeah.
lovely. That's lovely. And I think you also still do some YouTube,
Oh yes,
give us some
definitely.
tips on
I
YouTube.
do my YouTube and my those ones are like my hobbies, like and things that you do for fun. Those are the things I
Yeah.
really like. I enjoy making videos and talking to the camera and editing. Those are things I really like to enjoy. So it really is a good avenue for me to like express my creativity.
Release, yeah, and
Yeah.
release yourself. Okay, Oyinkan, it's been lovely talking to you. So ladies and gentlemen, remember to subscribe to my channel, share this video, and also visit her YouTube channel, Dr. Hane. You, like she said, she's got a lot of information. She's got a lot of information about moving over to the UK, so that you don't make mistakes. Like she said, get as much information as possible. Equip yourself with knowledge. Equip yourself with knowledge so that you don't make mistakes. It's better to do it knowing fully well what to expect, so that when you do land here, you know how it runs and you're not going to be disappointed. And then of course,
Exactly.
yeah, she's also got lots of tips for nursing moms. You're a new mom, you need to go to her channel and see all the tips that she has there. And of course, her makeup, she also does makeup. So if you want to learn how to do makeup for yourself, or maybe even commercially, I'm sure there are a lot of tips on her channel that will be of help to you. So
Yes.
it's been a wonderful time talking with you today. what is your last what's your last word for our viewers before we say
My
bye bye?
last word for the viewers is UK is definitely a good place to come and block out the noise. Don't listen to all these people that are saying, "Oh, UK is hard," and don't listen to all the people that are saying UK is easy either. It is what it is. It's a place, and when you come, you definitely make it work for you if you are
Yeah.
willing to work. It's not easier and it's not worse. It's just a place. When you come, you do the work, and then if you are determined, you can the world is literally your oyster.
Fantastic. The world is literally your oyster. So, yes, come over, but be informed, be equipped, and just know that it might take a little bit of time, but you will definitely achieve what you planned to achieve in the end. Oyinkan, thank you so much for being on the show today. Thank you everyone for watching. This is Lady Shayo Speaks. Remember to subscribe to the channel, share the video, like, comment, and of course, save this video. Until you hear from us again next time, I want to say goodbye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.